Churchill, Manitoba. It's known as the polar bear capital of the world. But for how much longer? It's a question that vexes Dr. Nick Lunn of Environment Canada. For the past 30 years, he's come to the shores of Western Hudson Bay in spring and fall to study polar bears. The result, Canada knows more about its bears than any country in the world.
But one of the important things with a long-term database is you can not only pick out natural variability, but you can look at trends over time. And that's really critical.
From the air, Lunn's team tranquilizes them, then quickly measures teeth, weight, girth, and samples blood. That data helps track the bear's health, and it's troubling.
There were 1,200 bears in the late 1980s here in Western Hudson Bay, and sort of the most recent estimates, it's down to about 800 or so. And so that is cause for concern, but it's also sort of a warning bell.
It was surprisingly the eruption of Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines in 1991 that gave scientists the first clues. Changes in the ecosystem were dramatically impacting polar bears.
And that volcano put up an awful lot of particulate matter into the atmosphere, and it cooled sort of the global temperature by about 0.5 degrees Celsius for about a 3-year period. And what we noticed in our data set, because we had bears every year, there was sort of a positive blip increase in the condition of bears.
Going over it on the right at 2 o'clock. That's the one I'm going to take a look at. Yep, 3 of them.
During that brief period of global cooling, the Pinatubo years, newborn polar bear cubs were fatter and more likely to survive.
Okay, let's go. You want to do it?
And so that gave us sort of a clue that, hey, maybe polar bears would be a good thing to monitor sort of big environmental change.
More than 25 years later, Dr. Lunn's data shows the bears are shrinking in weight and year after year in population.
We no longer see females with triplets, right? That's something we haven't seen since 1996. It's big adult males are lighter now than they were. Same with adult females with cubs. Pregnant females, they're not as heavy as they used to be. Cub survival is down. Weights are down.
The reason? Sea ice breaks up 3 weeks earlier than it used to. Rising global temperatures mean less time for bears to hunt seals, their staple food.
The models all predict continued loss of sea ice, so that will mean for bears longer and longer and longer periods with no sea ice, bears being on shore, and that will not be good for polar bears.
Another day, another big batch of measurements, and he will keep on analyzing. But the data keeps suggesting the bears are on thin ice.
So you will see, I would expect a gradual decline in the size of this subpopulation, and at some point down the road, if it continues, it won't be a viable population, they'll be gone.
The iconic polar bears of southern Hudson Bay gone from these parts, unless the planet begins to cool. Duncan McHugh, CBC News, Churchill, Manitoba.